I've been here 15, almost 15 and a half years, and when I came, it was a strong church and had a good spirit, and numerically we were running about 250. We bumped up to about 285 the next year, and then we leveled off there for a couple of years, and discovered that we'd probably hit some barriers, particularly logistically in terms of building and parking, and so we had a board retreat that summer, and out of that we made a couple of decisions that had a great impact. That we couldn't afford to build then, but we were at our capacity in terms of 80 to 85% of worship, Sunday school, parking. So we made the decision to go to double services, but it was different philosophically, because all my life growing up in the Church of the Nazarene, we'd gone to Sunday school at 9 or 9:30, and then after that church, and now we were asking people to come at 9, but we need you to leave so that some more can come. Changed our Sunday school aspect, and along with that we made the decision to put a priority on children's ministry, because we believed God had called us to reach families with children. So out of that we hired a children's director, turned in the original building, turned all of the Sunday school educational space over to children, and then their services would go on concurrently with the worship service. That was a big change. At the same time, we were going through, when I got here, they had started kind of through the changing music style. And right after that is when we hired Bob, and so, and I don't know if George and Georgine remember, but during that time I went to the what you would call the older guard, the senior adults, and just shared with them what the changes were, why we were doing it, what we hoped God would do through it, and it was from there that I remember their comments back were not that they liked every change or everything we were doing, but whatever it would take to reach the people that we believed God wanted us to reach, they were behind us. Well, I remember about a year or so, my first year into here, we did a survey on Sunday mornings, and I just had them, we had cards at that time, and I said, put down the favorite radio station that you listen to, the kind of music. So when I went through those, I came back to the congregation and said, you know, I was surprised because it was pretty across the board. 20% listen to country, 20% listen to oldies, 20%, you know, rock, 20%. It was kind of across the board. And I made what I thought was kind of a humorous comment and said, it doesn't matter what kind of music we sing, most of you aren't going to like it. It's not your favorite. What we had tried to do, we didn't just say we're going to go contemporary for the sake of going contemporary. And music touches people's lives. And so the music we have, and it's a constant, it's not a struggle, but to balance to make sure that we can worship to that music at the same time it appeals, or to the different unchurched and generations that are out there. Obviously you don't hit them all. Yeah, we have had a few through the years who've just said, that's not my thing and I need to go somewhere else. But
I think the culture of the time has a lot to
absolutely
do with what your music is. I can remember going to the Nazarene church when I was about 3 years old. My parents didn't have a car. We went in a horse pulling a wagon. And for the next 30, 40 years, from then on, the worship service was you sing 2 songs, the pastor would pray, take the offering, they'd sing another song, and the pastor would preach. Yeah. And it was that way for 30, 40 years, probably when you were.
Oh yeah, even my first years in the pastorate.
Yeah.
It's what I call 3 hymns and a punt.
Yeah, that's about it. That's about what it was.
And we never did go the traditional contemporary, route. We just, all 5 services that we do here on the weekend and then the ones in Live Oak are basically the same. And we still blend in a hymn here and there, but we focus. If you looked back, there's not an organ up there. There's a keyboard, not a piano. Not that those are bad things. It just that didn't fit the style. Well, yeah, we did for a couple of reasons. One is that when we made that change, and we really wanted to emphasize children's ministry in the sense that part of the reason for doing that, when I got here, the 250 people we had, our ratio of children for that size congregation was really low. I think the first VBS, I had just gotten here, we had like 30 or 40 kids at VBS, and we had a congregation of 250 people in that ratio. And that Yuba City area was starting to grow, and that we wanted to reach these families that had children. And so we gave the space to them, which meant that we did not have space available for adult Sunday school on Sunday morning. Not that we had anything against doing it, we just ran out of space. And unfortunately, or fortunately, whichever way you look at it, that when we moved into this building, that still didn't, we still don't have space for adult Sunday school during Sunday mornings. We have one adult class at 8 o'clock, and that's part of the senior, most of them. But that's all the space we have. We don't have any rooms available. So the small groups are, a part of the Sunday school. But more than that, they've become what George was saying, connection. We've had so many new people come over the last 10 years that, it's easy to come and go and nobody knows you were here. And we really are, especially the last 5 years, have tried to, we have a pastor of small groups and focus so that people can connect. So it's those 2 items. It's ongoing spiritual formation, if you will, but it's connection to give people a place to connect. And a lot of the pastoral ministry that, like George mentioned, takes place through the small groups. Obviously, when you have that large congregation, even though we have a large staff, we can't get out there and see everything that's going on. And so it's just great when, like they said, somebody in that small group is going through a need, a difficulty, and the rest of the group ministers to them. And so I guess there's all of those things in the small group.
I think one of the big changes that I see, and one of the most important, is the small groups that we have. Yeah. We encourage everybody to get into a small group. I don't know how many there are, but they're on different nights of the week. And where 8, 10, 15 people get together, they can, many of them discuss the sermon the week before. They may have a certain book of the Bible they're studying, but it gives you a close fellowship. When you're in a large church, you need to feel a closeness. And when you have 10 people or so, and we hosted one for many years in our own home, if one of them has a need, here's 6 or 8 people right there to help fill that need. And I know we have small group pullouts for the for the teens, and I think this is just a really vital part if a church is going to grow, to have these small groups. I think to me, they're more advantageous than sitting down and going through a Sunday school lesson in a book.
Yeah.
But I think that's a real key part of keeping the church together, is those small groups.
It's about 2,000 to 2,200 over the whole weekend in the two campuses.
And how many people do you think in the last 10 years or so have given their lives to Christ or been baptized?
Probably 1,000, I would say.
People give their lives to Christ?
Yeah. The first few years of kind of rapid growth, there was a lot of people that came from other churches, and there still are some, but over the last, I don't know, since we've been in this building particularly, there's been more and more unchurched, or people that have dropped out and that have come back and have come to the Lord. We've emphasized baptism over the last 2 or 3 years. This year, at our early January, our pastoral staff day that we took, I read that in Acts again, where we're in Acts 2:42 is kind of our DNA, and at the verse 47 it says, and the Lord added to the church daily. And I said, you know what, we need to, even if nothing is scheduled, we need to prepare our baptistry and be ready every service. We've had baptisms every weekend but one in 2012.
I know, I have never had the feeling of bucking the new trend because of my background in education for 50 years. The goals were constantly changing, and you had to change your objectives to meet those goals. When I first started teaching in 1950, all mothers were home just about taking care of their children. And the children in school now, they may have no parent at home, or there may be a single parent that's there. So you have to adjust to what the times are. And I don't know whether your population at Liberty Towers comes from an older community or whether it's new subdivisions or what. But the newer houses, subdivisions, are the ones who have younger families. And I think that we, as older adults, have to realize that our ministry is to reach all the people. And if it means being a little uncomfortable, sitting in our chair where we're used to being in the third row, the end seat, we may have to move out of our comfort zone in order for the church to move forward. But as we move out of our comfort zone, I think we get a feeling that we're really accomplishing something. When we see 20, 30 members go down to join the church, when we see baptisms every month, and where practically every Sunday there's a baptism of a newborn, you know. And these are exciting things going on, even though, we have great-grandchildren. It's exciting to see them in the church and growing up. So I think that we just have to look outside our own sphere to see what God wants us to do. We used to have the attitude that I spent my time in the church, it's time for the younger people to take over. But in our church today, we have people that are retired who are doing all the lawn work, and we have a large campus to take care of. We have traffic control people who on Sunday mornings are directing traffic, and We have greeters that have a greeting badge on that shakes every hand that comes through the door on a Sunday morning and greets them. And we have seniors who are volunteering to work with children, those who are volunteering to work in the kitchen when we have events there.
Prayer.
So, and prayer, big prayer
Compassionate
chain
ministries.
that seniors are involved in. So I think that every senior in a church needs to be involved.
We have plans to build a new worship center back there because over the last 3 years we've hit the same pattern. We've stretched ourselves space-wise. We've added 5 services. We've added another campus, but really now we know that that worship center, and if we're going to continue whatever God has in mind, we have to open up the doors again so that we don't limit Jesus to build his church. We have a mission, and we've tried to operate under the philosophy that the Church of Jesus Christ is the only organization uniquely designed for those that are not yet in it.